Hi and welcome to another episode of Galaxy. Today we'll be diving into the world of microbes, answering the questions, what are they, where are they, and how does this impact us? Now, our first guest on the show today is Dr. Jeff, a microbiologist who attends all his lectures and knows everything about microbes.
Thank you for having me. So before we address the consequences of microbes, we must first understand what they are. Microbes are tiny forms of life that can be found all around us. They're in water, soil, air, and even in our bodies. While there are microbes that are hazardous to health, there are some that are actually important for our bodies. The most common microbes are bacteria, viruses, and fungi. There is an additional group of microbes that are called the protozoa. Bacteria are single-celled organisms. They do not have a nucleus or membrane-bound organelles, thus making their cell structure simple in comparison to other organisms. A unique feature some bacteria have, called the flagella or flagellum being a singular term. These are hair-like structures that act like a propeller. They can be found on the ends of the bacteria or all around its surface, enabling locomotion. In addition to that, many species of bacteria have pili, which are hair-like extensions coming out of the surface of the cell. These emerging projections enable the bacteria to move across surfaces and latch onto other cells. Pili is quite important because without it, an abundance of disease-causing bacteria will lose their capability to infect as they will not be able to latch onto host tissue. An abundance of bacteria also are able to synthesize toxins, which induce pathological damage to the host, promoting infections and diseases. Another reason for bacteria to produce these toxins is to create a better habitat for them to colonize. Viruses, however, differ to bacteria because they do not have their own cells. So strictly speaking, viruses are not living organisms. Instead, they're composed of molecules encapsulated inside a protein shell. In order for a virus to replicate, it attaches onto a host cell and injects its genetic information into the host cell. The host cell then creates more viruses by using the genetic material injected. After this process is complete, the host cell then splits, letting out all of the newly made viruses. A host cell is essential as without a host, replication cannot occur for a virus. There are three major bacterial cell shapes. Coccus, which are spherical. One bacteria you may not have heard of is Staphylococcus aureus. Another shape is the bacillus, which are rod-shaped. E. coli is one of the most notable bacteria from this group. And thirdly, spirochete, which are corkscrew-shaped. So there you have it, my 101 breakdown of bacteria.
Thank you for the information, Dr. Jeff. My name is Dr. Lucy, and I'm here to warn you about the shocking places that you might find microbes. Objects that you encounter or handle daily may be contaminated with microbes and are breeding grounds for bacteria and viruses. These are readily spread through physical contact and may even end up on your mouth. Bacteria can end up on objects like your pillow, your keyboard, in your makeup, and even on you. Bacteria such as the Streptococcus, MRSA, and E. coli have even been found on cell phones. Public computers used in the workplace and universities may also carry hazardous or pathogenic organisms.
Now, that previous footage may have been quite shocking, but luckily we have PhD student Greg to tell us how we can all survive this horrifying outbreak of microbes.
Well, Sarah, it's not really an outbreak at all. Microbes have been around long before us. In fact, without microbes, there wouldn't even be a human race. Microorganisms are used to enable many different functions we take for granted. People who don't know much about microbes often mistake microbes for germs, but this is false. Most microbes are harmless or even beneficial to us. Only approximately 1% of microbes are harmful to humans, and these are called pathogens. Pathogens love when you or your environment is unhygienic or dirty. They take every possible chance they get to break the barriers of skin and tissues and attach to host cells to reproduce. When the bacteria attach to your host cells, it creates what we know as an infection. But this doesn't always lead to disease. Our immune system acts quickly using its B cells to help curb the development of disease. When a disease can be transferred from an infected person to a healthy person through means such as coughing or sneezing or even through water, we call this an infectious disease. Infectious diseases are very contagious. They spread quickly and generally make a lot of people very sick. Diseases such as cholera, leprosy, pneumonia, the bubonic plague, and even the flu are all examples of infectious disease. In fact, the most common fatal infectious disease is tuberculosis, an infection of the respiratory tract spread by bacteria in the air, which consumes the lives of more than 2 million people each year, particularly those living in sub-Saharan Africa. Modern medicine and improved hygiene practices means that these diseases don't really occur in developed countries today. Infections caused by bacteria are one of the leading causes of death in both the very young and very old. This is because the young's immune system is still developing and the old do not respond to immune challenges as robustly as the young. However, most of us fall between these two extremes and are protected against bacterial infections by a healthy immune system. So, that's where the other 99% of microbes come in. These are the good bacteria. They are what keep us alive and they keep us safe from the bad ones. In our gut alone, there are more bacteria than stars in our galaxy. Most of the microorganisms in our gut play important roles in us. They help in the digestion of food, breakdown and absorption of food, the list goes on. Microbes are so important for our immune system to fight off disease and defend us from pathogens and illness. And we all know that E. coli is a bacterium most commonly associated with food poisoning. And just like that, a certain microorganism can alter the pathway or effect of a pathogen. So yes, microbes are everywhere, but without microbes, we would not be alive today.